Everyone faces dark times, no matter how rich or strong or enlightened they are. Some people do better than others. They rise to the challenge and ride the ups and downs to a successful outcome. How can you build your strength to hold and use power? Disempowerment can be caused by too little in the way of resources, as we saw in exhaustion, and it can also be the result of too much in the way of baggage, as we're going to see here. Now, when I'm talking about baggage, I'm referring to family patterns that we bring into the present moment. Those family patterns create a charge. There can be great stories about having disappointed our parents, not having done what our parents wanted us to do, or not being in those roles that our parents saw for us, or the feeling of never having been able to feel that we satisfied our parents, that we'd met their needs. So that's what happens early on. And a lot of that baggage then we carry into our adult years. Sometimes we echo the same family stories or the same judgmental comments and commentary. You've all heard the critical parent in yourself, and we do carry that forward, and that is disempowering. But other parts of it are that we don't feel comfortable with who we are. We're still referencing back into the past. That's part of the charge. Or we're busy charging the past with blaming our parents. My parents didn't give me the education I wanted. They didn't give me the validation I needed. They weren't loving. And because they didn't do all those things, I cannot do those things in my present life. This is what I mean by baggage. Do you have any baggage? Well, let's see what we can do about the baggage that we still might be carrying with us. I consider this a family portrait. I had great parents. Let me tell you, I was very, very fortunate. My dad was like a lion, expressive and loving and bigger than life. He was a great dad. And my mother was lovely. She was more like a daffodil, a little on the stiff side perhaps, but lovely and loving. So I was really very fortunate in the family that I had. But you know, every once in a while, the two of them would get together, and when they figured I needed a little correction, they would gang up on me. And my response, my instant response, was to turn into a rock. I'd take my emotions, I'd pull them inside, and it was like my little heart turned to stone, which was regrettable because it didn't always work as a response. I had other responses too. One was, I'd go into being very serious and getting into a lot of thinking, or I would go into I gotta work harder mode. Now, all of these responses were conditioned. They were conditioned and they were created out of an environment when I was young, when I was a child, or when I was an adolescent. And you know, these responses really didn't empower me or help me be better or more efficient as an adult. Fortunately, when I began to do this painting series, it gave me a really good opportunity to examine my responses, how I behave in life, and I chose to literally begin to cut through these things. Now, most of us, when we decide there's a change necessary, slash and burn. We're not very caring when we cut out those things we don't need. I wanted to be able to bring in the idea of the feather, the lightness, to honor what had gone on before, and yet to move into a new, lighter way of being. And what that meant for me was re-examining my parents. They were not bad people. Obviously, I've told you that already, but I needed to see them in a new way, and I needed to see them differently. My father, in many ways, was very jovial, and not like a clown in the foolish sense, but very happy making. And my mother really was lovely and very much like an angel. So in looking at them and seeing them differently, I got a different perspective too, and I could see myself from a different vantage point. And that was very empowering, to drop the baggage, to drop the charge, and show up in the present moment authentically as who I am today. Now, what we have for you is another way of getting to your power through an exercise, and our exercise is going to be about family trees. I'd like to share an exercise with you, which is an opportunity to get rid of the baggage and get on with the good stuff. I was talking about baggage that comes from family, and it doesn't all come from family, but this is where we're starting. And I'd like to say that in the family tree, what we want to do is look at what we've inherited from our parents that we value. And you can find at least one good thing, sometimes many. So if I think about my mother, she was a very artistic person, and I think probably shared some of her talent with me. She was a very supportive mom, and I appreciated that. And you know, something else, she was strong. She's a very strong person. Now, if you can't think of good things to say about your mother, then I would suggest that you think about an ideal mother for a moment and put down one of those qualities. As far as my father goes, he was wonderfully organized. He was a great manager. He was also very caring. He did lots of good things for the people in the family, in the neighborhood, and also the people that he worked with. He was also a very determined man, coming from a very poor background and being able to make a lot out of his life. So, Mom and Dad, what did we get from them? And then we can climb up the family tree a little bit and look at the ancestors. So, my grandmother was very charismatic, lovely woman, attracted friends, and really people enjoyed her a lot. My grandfather was brave. Unfortunately, he died in fighting fire for the Berkeley Fire Department, but nonetheless, he had great qualities. My other grandfather was adventurous. Let's just say he was a rascal. And in every family, you may find some rascals, and perhaps you could reframe their behavior a little bit to read somewhat positively for you. And my other grandmother was very dedicated to her family. Well, sometimes the qualities that we inherit from our family maybe aren't quite enough. You know, it's very possible to create your own family tree. If you wanted a family tree with somebody that you wanted for a mother, you could choose your own people. I'm putting down Barbra Streisand because of her multi-talented nature. I wouldn't mind having her in my family tree. Or Wayne Thiebaud, who is such a fine artist and a teacher that I enjoyed so much. Joseph Campbell, a man of great wisdom and who contributed so much through his teachings and his programs. I can even go farther back. I can go back in time to Rumi, the mystical poet, and what he had to contribute. But the point that I want to make here is that if you focus on the good things, the good qualities in your family or in the family that you would choose to have, then you really do get rid of the baggage and emphasize the good stuff.